I walked in on my wife whispering my name, but who she was talking to killed everything in me. I woke up at 2 a.m. to a soft sound coming from the baby monitor on my nightstand. At first, I thought it was just our son turning over in his crib. But then I heard a whisper, quiet, shaky, like someone trying not to cry. "Michael, I miss you so much." It was Elena's voice. For a moment, half asleep, I smiled. I thought she was sleep-talking again. She did that sometimes when she was stressed. I reached for her hand in the dark, except my fingers touched only cold sheets. She wasn't beside me. I blinked confused. She had gone to bed earlier than me. She was exhausted from being up with the baby the night before. So why wasn't she here now? Why was her voice coming from the monitor instead of from the bed? The whisper came again, clearer this time. "I love you, Michael." I never stopped. My chest tightened. It wasn't the tone she used with me. Not warm. Not safe. It sounded secret, like she thought she was alone in the world, and could finally say something she had been keeping locked inside. Something meant for someone else. I sat up slowly, the blankets falling down my legs. The blue glow of the monitor screen flickered, showing the nursery, the crib, the rocking chair, and Elena, sitting in the dark, her back turned, shoulders shaking, talking to someone named Michael, someone who supposedly was me. The dread that crawled up my spine was ice cold, sharper than anything I'd felt in my life. And if I had known then what that whisper really meant, I might have run out of the house and never come back. Before we continue, please hit subscribe for more true revenge stories, because trust me, this one only gets darker. I walked down the hallway slowly, each step whispering across the wooden floor. The closer I got to the nursery door, the more my heartbeat drowned out every other sound. I didn't know what I was scared of, but my body fell before my mind understood it. The door was cracked open. A thin line of soft yellow light stretched across the floor inside. I pushed it gently. There she was. Elena sat in the rocking chair, knees pulled close, her hair falling in waves around her face. She held a phone against her cheek, with both hands like it was something precious. Her voice was low, almost trembling. "Yes, I promise. I'll say it again. I love you, Michael." My whole body froze in the doorway. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I didn't exist. Only her voice existed. Her voice, and the name she whispered to someone who wasn't me. "Elena?" The word slipped out before I could stop it. She jumped as if someone had hit her. The phone dropped from her hands and slid across the rug. She scrambled to grab it, but I was already stepping inside. "What were you doing?" I asked. Her eyes were too wide, too bright, her breathing fast. I was praying, she said quickly. Just praying out loud. "Praying? In the dark? Whispering, 'I love you'?" "No," I said, soft but certain. "You were talking to someone." She shook her head so fast her hair brushed her cheeks. "I swear it was nothing. You scared me, that's all." But her hands were shaking. Her voice wobbled. And the look in her eyes wasn't fear of being startled. It was fear of being caught. She laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was thin and shaky, like someone trying to keep a glass from slipping out of their hand. "I was just saying your name out loud," she insisted. "I do that sometimes when I pray. You know that." I didn't know that. Not once in all the time I'd known her had I heard her pray like that, and never using my name over and over. But I didn't say anything. I just watched her, watched how her shoulders rose too fast with every breath. She kept her eyes on the phone she had grabbed off the rug, holding it to her chest like she was protecting it. The monitor light flickered again, showing her profile. That blue glow washed over her face. And in that glow, I had seen what she didn't know I saw. A video screen. A call. Someone else's face on it. Someone she whispered, "I love you," to, but I said nothing. "I'm fine," she said again, slower now, trying to sound calm. "You just scared me. You shouldn't sneak up on people." I didn't sneak. I whispered. She swallowed hard. We both stood there in the soft nursery light, the silence stretching between us like a locked door we didn't know how to open. I reached toward her, but she stepped back slightly, too slightly, just enough for me to notice. And in that tiny movement, my heart cracked a little. I pretended to smile. Okay, if you say it was praying. She nodded quickly, almost grateful that I wasn't pushing harder. But my pulse kept racing, because no matter what she said, I knew what I saw, and I knew what I heard. And it wasn't prayer. It was a lie. A soft, whispered lie in the middle of the night. And lies always leave shadows. The next morning, when I woke up, Elena was already downstairs making breakfast. Usually she stayed in bed late after a rough night. But today she was moving fast. Too fast. Her phone wasn't on her nightstand. I checked while pretending to look for my watch. No phone. No charging cord either. The outlet where she always plugged it in was empty. I walked downstairs, trying to act normal. She was flipping pancakes with a smile that looked too bright. "Where's your phone?" I asked casually. "Oh, dead battery," she said, not looking up. "I left it in the car last night." The lie hit me instantly. She never left her phone anywhere. She never let the battery die. She slept with it under her pillow. "Want me to charge it?" I asked. "No," she said too quickly. Then she forced a softer tone. "No, it's okay. I'll do it later." I nodded, pretending not to notice how she avoided my eyes. But inside, suspicion twisted slowly, like a knot pulling tighter. She moved around the kitchen like she was trying to stay busy, like stopping would make her crumble. And every few minutes, she glanced at her wrist in the exact spot where her phone would buzz when she held it. But nothing buzzed now, because the phone wasn't with her, and it wasn't in the car. I checked when I left for work. So where was it? What else was she hiding? By lunchtime, I knew one thing for sure. Last night wasn't just a weird moment or an emotional prayer. Something was happening behind my back. Something she didn't want me to find. The whole day felt strange. Elena kept checking on me more than usual, texting, calling, asking what time I'd be home. Her voice was sweet, but something in her tone felt off, like she wasn't checking on me. She was checking on whether I might walk in on something again. When I got home, she hugged me extra tight, kissed me more than normal, talked nonstop about little things like grocery sales and movie times, like she was trying to fill every space with noise, so I wouldn't hear the truth hiding under it. But her eyes kept drifting to her empty hand, the hand that usually held her phone. She was waiting for something. Someone. Later that night, when I went to the laundry room, I found her coat stuffed in a hamper. That was strange. She never put jackets in with clothes. I pulled it out to hang it and felt something heavy inside the pocket. An old flip phone. Not her smartphone. Not something she would ever use. My heart thudded hard. I opened it. The screen flickered weakly, cracked on one side, battery nearly dead. But the wallpaper punched the air right out of my lungs. It was Elena, smiling, and beside her, an arm around her, a man's arm, strong, tan, with a tattoo near the wrist. But the photo was cropped just below the face. Whoever he was, she didn't want him to be recognized. My hands shook as I held the phone. This wasn't prayer. This wasn't stress. This was something else. Something she had hidden on a device she never meant for me to find. And suddenly I knew last night was only the beginning. I sat in the laundry room holding that old flip phone like it was something dangerous. My hands felt cold, even though the house was warm. The photo on the wallpaper would not leave my mind. Elena's smile looked different, softer, almost shy. A smile she hadn't used with me in a long time. And the man's arm around her, the tattoo, the shape, the way it rested on her shoulder like it belonged there. I turned the phone over. An old model, scratched on the back, the battery held in with tape. Why did she even have this? Where had it been all this time? And why hide it in a coat pocket stuffed deep inside the hamper? I clicked menu. The phone lagged, a slow blue screen with faded icons. Most of the folders were empty. No texts, no videos, nothing in the ringtone section but defaults. But then I found one folder near the bottom called Saved. When I opened it, it was empty, except for one contact. Just one. My stomach tightened as I scrolled to it. Name, R. No last name. No picture. Just a letter. Who was R? I clicked info, but the phone froze for a second, then flashed a number. I stared at it. It looked familiar somehow, though I couldn't place it. Not a local area code. Not a number I had seen in her recent calls on her smartphone. She had gone out of her way to hide this. I plugged the old flip phone into an old charger I found in a drawer, watching as the battery icon blinked slowly. When it finally showed enough charge, I sat down at the small laundry table. Then I did something I never thought I would do to my wife. I typed a message to the only contact in the phone. Call me. My thumb hovered over send. My chest tightened. My mind screamed to stop, but I pressed it anyway. And then I waited. It didn't take long. 3 minutes after I sent the message, the flip phone lit up and buzzed in my hand. The ringtone was loud and old-fashioned. My pulse shot straight to my throat. The screen said, incoming call, R. I stared at it, frozen. Whoever R was, he didn't hesitate. He called right away, like he was waiting, like he expected Elena to reach out. I swallowed hard and answered. A deep voice came through immediately, rough, older, and strangely familiar. A voice that had weight, like someone who'd been through something but didn't want to talk about it. Elena, you okay? He asked quietly. The way he said her name made something inside me collapse. Gentle, worried, like he cared for her, like this wasn't their first secret call. I gripped the phone tighter. Who is this? I asked. Silence. Complete silence. No breathing. No shifting. Nothing. Then after 2 seconds, 2 long, sharp seconds, the call cut off. Just like that, the screen went dark. I stared at it, feeling my heartbeat in my ears. That voice. I knew it from somewhere. I just didn't know why, or when, or how. Michael? I froze. Elena's voice came from behind me. I turned around slowly. She was standing at the bottom of the stairs, wearing her robe, hair messy, eyes wide. She looked at me, then at my hands. Too long, too carefully. What are you doing up? I forced my breathing to calm. Nothing. Just couldn't sleep. She took 1 step closer. Her eyes flicked again to my hands, because she knew. Somewhere inside her, she knew. Are you okay? She asked. I nodded. She nodded too, but her smile seemed glued on, stretched in across her face. She knew something was wrong. And now I knew it too. After she went back upstairs, I whispered a shaky breath and opened the call log. My thumb scrolled through the list, and every entry made my chest hurt more. Dozens of calls, all to the same number, all to R. Some were 20 minutes, some were an hour, some were 2 hours long, and many were made late at night, while I was asleep in the next room. My wife had been talking to another man for hours at a time, and not just once. For months, the call history stretched back farther than I expected. Week after week, day after day, like she needed him the way she used to need me. At the very bottom of the log, I found something that made my stomach twist. A message sent from Elena 3 days earlier. It read, I can't keep lying to him much longer. I closed my eyes for a second. I didn't want any more of this. I didn't want to picture her lying to me every night, lying to my face every morning, lying in the dark to someone who wasn't me. But the truth didn't care about what I wanted. I scrolled again. My hand shook. My throat felt numb. Another message. Soon. I'll tell him soon. Tell me what? Tell me she loved someone else? Tell me she had been with someone else? Tell me that whisper in the nursery was never meant for me? My heart thudded hard. Too hard. I needed to know who her was. I needed to know how deep this went. I needed the truth, even if it broke me. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Elena's face in the nursery, whispering, I love you, to someone else. So I turned on my laptop and started searching. Reverse lookup on the number. Nothing. Private. Unlisted. No name. No address. I tried 3 different lookup sites. Same result. The number wasn't tied to any business. Not tied to any public records. Not connected to any social media. Whoever R was, he didn't want to be found. But I wasn't done. I saved the number as a contact, then synced it to a few social apps I rarely used. Sometimes they linked numbers to profiles if the owner used them. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then one match popped up. One profile. My stomach clenched as I clicked the name. Robert Cole, a retired firefighter. I stared at the little profile picture. It was blurry, taken years ago. But the moment I zoomed in, my breath caught. The tattoo on the arm in the picture. It was the same tattoo from a wallpaper photo on the flip phone. The same style, same shape, same spot on the skin. It was him. R wasn't just anyone. R was Robert Cole. And that voice earlier, deep, rough, familiar, it snapped into place. I knew him. I knew him well. He had been around for years. He had been in our home. He had helped us move furniture, fixed our gutters, brought gifts for our son. He wasn't a stranger. He was almost family. I stare at the profile picture, my hands trembling. Robert Cole. Of course. The tattoo, the voice, the familiarity. It all fit now. He wasn't some random guy from Elena's past. He wasn't a secret boyfriend from before we met. He was someone who had been in my life, too. Someone I trusted. Someone my father trusted. Robert had been at our wedding. He gave a speech that made Elena cry. He hugged me and told me I was like a son to him. He helped install our baby's crib. He was the kind of man you didn't question because you never thought you'd need to. And Elena had chosen him. Of all people, him. I clicked his page again, scrolling through old photos. A fishing trip with my dad. A barbecue from 5 years ago. A picture of him holding my son when he was just 3 months old. My heart twisted painfully. He was part of our life. He was supposed to be safe. So why was he the one she whispered to in the nursery? Why was he the one she told, "I love you" at 2 a.m? And why was his number saved secretly in a hidden phone she never meant for me to find? As I stared at his photo, the memory hit me like a punch. 2 years ago, a funeral, a fire accident, a loss that shook everyone who knew him. Robert Cole had died 2 years ago. So how could he be calling my wife? How could she whisper to him like he was alive? My chest tightened with cold confusion. If Robert was dead, then who exactly had she been talking to? Because it wasn't me, and it wasn't him. I sat at the kitchen table with the flip phone in front of me, my fingers tapping the wood again and again. This made no sense. Robert Cole was dead. I went to his funeral. I watched people cry over his casket. I saw the photos, the folded flag, the firefighter badge placed on top. There was no way he was alive. No way he was calling Elena in the middle of the night. So who was R? And why was my wife whispering to him like he was still here? I opened the phone again, scrolling through every corner of its old system. Most folders were empty, but I noticed something strange in the gallery. A small locked folder, labeled photos _2017. When I clicked it, the phone asked for a passcode. I tried Elena's birthday. Nothing. I tried our anniversary. Nothing. I tried 0000 out of desperation. The phone unlocked. My throat dried as the images loaded slowly, one by one. Elena standing next to a tall, dark-haired man. Elena laughing while he kissed her cheek. Elena holding his hand in a park. And in every picture, the same tattoo near his wrist. But this man wasn't Robert Cole. And this man looked younger. My blood ran cold. Who was he? I clicked the info on one of the photos. The file name popped up, Ryan JPEG. Not Robert. Ryan. The name hit me like a punch to the chest. The whispers came back to me, echoing from the monitor. I love you, Michael. Except what if she wasn't saying my name? What if she was saying it to someone else, someone whose name sounded like mine in the dark? Someone named Ryan. My hands shook as I stared at the man, his arm around her, his smile, her smile back. This wasn't some old friend. This wasn't a stranger. This was someone she had loved. Deeply. I clicked through every photo in the hidden folder. Each one felt like a knife in my chest. Elena, younger and glowing. her head resting on his shoulder, his hand around her waist like it belonged there, them together at beach sunsets, at old cafes, in front of Christmas lights. The kind of moments she used to share with me, except these were older than our marriage. Images of a life I never knew she had, a love I never knew existed. And every picture had the same man. Dark hair, kind smile, tattoo on his wrist, strong arms around her like she was his whole world. This was the man she whispered to at night. This was the man she remembered when she said, "I miss you." This was the real person behind the name she whispered when she thought I wasn't listening. His name was Ryan, not Michael, not me. I scrolled again and found something that made my stomach twist even harder. A marriage certificate, old and faded, scanned into a picture. Marriage license, Elena Carter and Ryan Matthews. My heart stopped. Her first husband, a husband she never told me about, a husband with the same first name as me. The realization hit like a storm. She hadn't fallen in love with me. She had fallen in love with my name. Every time she whispered Michael, she wasn't talking to the man standing in front of her. She was calling out to the ghost of someone she lost. Someone she loved more deeply than she ever loved me. Someone named Ryan, her first husband, the real one, the one she had never stopped missing. I sat in the laundry room, staring at the marriage certificate until the words began to blur. My hands trembled so badly I almost dropped the phone. How could she hide something like this? How could she never tell me she had been married before? When we met, she told me she had never been in a serious relationship. She said I was the first man she ever felt safe with. But that wasn't true. Ryan Matthews had come before me, and I wasn't her first anything. I was a shadow wearing his name. I looked at the dates on the paper. They were married in 2016. He died in 2018. 2 years together. 2 years of real love, real memories, real loss. A life she had buried, but never let go of. I remember the look on her face when she first heard my name at work. The way she had paused, blinked, then smiled a little too warmly. I thought she was just being friendly. Now I saw the truth. She hadn't fallen for me. She had fallen for my name. My stomach twisted with anger and confusion. Did she marry me because she loved me? Or because my name helped her keep pretending he wasn't gone? I tried to breathe, but every inhale felt like fire. Part of me wanted to storm into the bedroom and demand answers. The other part wanted to run out of the house and never come back. But I needed to be sure. I needed proof. Real proof. Because the truth was already tearing me apart, and I wasn't even halfway through the lies yet. The next morning, I sat across from Elena at breakfast, watching her spoon cereal into her mouth as if everything was normal, as if she wasn't hiding another life, as if she wasn't whispering love to a man who had been dead for years. "Have you spoken to Rob lately?" I asked casually. Her spoon froze. Just like that. Midair. Milk dripping slowly back into the bowl. "Why?" she asked, voice tight. I shrugged, just wondering. Her eyes darted to mine, searching. She smiled. "No, of course not. Rob passed away 2 years ago. You know that." I nodded slowly, pretending to sip my coffee, pretending not to see the panic she tried to hide. "I miss him," she added softly, playing the grieving friend. "He was like family." Family. Yeah, I knew exactly how close they had been now. "Did you talk to him often? Before he died, I mean?" I asked softly. Her fingers squeezed the spoon tighter. "Sometimes. Why does it matter?" "Just curious." But the way she looked at me, nervous, stiff, told me everything. She wasn't scared that I knew about Rob. She was scared I knew about Ryan. And truthfully, I didn't know which part hurt more. The fact that she lied about her first husband, or the fact that she used my name to keep loving him. All day, memories played in my head like old movie scenes. Memories I once thought were harmless. Now, they look different, darker, twisted, wrong. Like the first month after we moved in together, and she insisted that only she should clean the top dresser drawer. I used to think she was being picky. Now I wonder what she hid there, or how she would go silent Every time a man with a tattoo walked by, I thought she didn't like tattoos. Turns out she liked one very much. Or the time she begged me to grow my hair out. It just looks better, she said. But in those old photos, Ryan had long dark hair. Or when she once called out R in her sleep, then covered it with a cough. I thought it was nothing. Now I knew better. I replayed everything. Every smile. Every hug. Every whispered, I love you. All of it felt borrowed now, like it belonged to someone else first. I went to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. I stared at my reflection, wondering when I stopped being Michael the husband and became Michael the replacement. I dried my face and looked around the house. The home I once felt proud of. The photos on the wall were of me and her, but now I wondered how many times she looked at them and wished she were standing next to him instead. How many times had I loved her while she loved a ghost? I felt sick. I needed answers. Real ones. And I knew the next step. I grabbed my keys. If she wouldn't tell me the truth, I would find it myself. I drove back home that afternoon with a tight feeling in my chest. I didn't want to believe any of this was real, but the pictures and the marriage certificate kept flashing through my mind. I had to know what else she was hiding. Something told me this wasn't the end of the lies. It was only the beginning. When I got back, Elena was in the living room folding laundry. She smiled at me in a way that used to make me feel warm. Now it felt like a bandage hiding a wound she didn't want me to see. You're home early, she said. Yeah, I answered. Just wanted to check on things. She nodded, but her eyes followed me. Every step, every breath, like she was afraid I had seen something I shouldn't. That night, after she went to bed, I pulled out a small box from the hallway closet. Inside was a tiny camera that looked like a smoke detector. I bought it months ago when the baby first started walking, just for safety, but now it had a new purpose. I installed it on the ceiling in the kitchen, right above the island where Elena usually talked on the phone. It looked normal. No blinking lights. No sound. Just another white circle on the ceiling. I wasn't proud of what I was doing, but she had lied about the phone, lied about the whisper, lied about the past, lied about the man named Ryan. And lies don't stop on their own. I opened my laptop and connected the camera to the app. The live feed popped up. The kitchen looked normal, quiet, empty, harmless. But something deep in my chest told me the truth was coming, whether I liked it or not. I closed the laptop slowly, knowing tomorrow might break me even more. But I needed it. I needed the truth, all of it, before it destroyed me from the inside. The next evening, I sat on the edge of the bed, pretending to scroll through my phone while Elena took a long shower. My heart thudded as I checked the camera app quietly. The kitchen feed loaded, clear and sharp. Nothing. I waited. 10 minutes later, Elena walked into the kitchen, towel drying her hair. She looked around like she was checking if the house was empty, even though she thought I was upstairs. Then she took her phone out from behind the coffee maker. The hidden spot, the one she never used before. She pressed it to her ear. Are you there? She whispered. My whole body froze. Her voice was soft, scared, loving, not any tone she used with me. She paced slowly. Yes, I think he knows something. He's asking strange questions. A pause. No, I didn't tell him anything. He can't find out. My heart hammered, so loud I could hear it in my ears. She leaned on the counter. I know. I told him you're gone. I told him you've been gone. Gone. The word hit me like a punch. Gone like dead. Gone like buried. Gone like forgotten. Who was she talking to? Who was she lying about? She whispered again, her voice cracking. Please, just tell me what to do. Then she listened for a long time. She wiped her eyes. Then she whispered, I miss you. I miss you every day. My hands shook as I watched. I felt like I was standing outside my own life, watching it burn. She hung up and stood there for a moment with her hand on her mouth, trying to hold in a sob. I closed the laptop. My whole world tilted. She wasn't grieving. She wasn't healing. She was hiding something darker, something wrapped in lies, memories, and a man who should not be speaking to her at all. I couldn't stop replaying her words in my head. I told him, "You're gone. I miss you every day." The house felt too quiet, like the walls were listening. I walked around like a ghost, barely feeling my feet on the floor. Who was she talking to? Was it Ryan? No, that made no sense. He was dead. The obituary was clear. Just to be sure, there it was. Ryan Matthews, 1982 to 2018. Died in residential fire. Survived by wife, Elena. The same Elena sitting in my kitchen, whispering to someone she claimed was gone. I scrolled through the page, reading the comments from people who knew him. Messages like, "Rest easy, brother," and "You were a hero." There was even a picture of him in his firefighter gear. Same tattoo, same eyes, same man from the old phone. There was no mistake. He was gone. So who answered the flip phone? Who whispered back to her? I went back to the baby monitor recording in my head. The way she said, "I love you, Michael." The soft, sweet tone. The kind of tone someone uses when speaking to someone they miss deeply. But what if she wasn't saying Michael? What if she was whispering to someone else whose name sounded close? Someone with a soft R at the start? Late at night, sleepy, scared, names blur. Michael, Ryan, two names, same rhythm, same ending. She wasn't calling to me. She was calling for him. The realization hit so hard I had to grip the bathroom sink to stay standing. My reflection looked pale, tired, broken. I understood now. To her, I wasn't her husband. I was a stand-in for the one she really wanted. The dead one. I sat on the edge of the tub, replaying everything in my head. The whisper in the nursery, the calls, the hidden phone, the messages she sent. All of it pointed to one truth. Elena never stopped loving Ryan. Not even for a moment. And now she was whispering to someone who wasn't alive. But then a thought hit me so hard I stood up. If she wasn't talking to Ryan, then who was pretending to be him? My chest tightened. I grabbed the flip phone again and stared at the number. It wasn't registered. It wasn't public. Whoever answered knew her, knew her voice, knew she would call, knew exactly what to say to keep her hooked. Someone who wanted to keep her trapped in her past. Someone who wanted her to believe Ryan still existed through this phone. But who? I went back to gallery on the old device and scrolled past the photos. At the bottom was a small icon I hadn't noticed before. Audio. There was one file. Just one. My fingers hesitated, then tapped it. Her voice filled the room. Younger, softer, full of love. If I ever lose you, I'll find another Ryan. Maybe then it won't hurt so much. My hands went numb. She said those words long before she met me. She planned this in her heart long before she said my name for the first time. I dropped the phone on the floor. It clattered loudly, but I barely heard it. All I could think was, I wasn't her husband. I was her cure for grief. And she never meant to love me. I needed space to breathe. The walls of the house felt too close, too heavy with secrets. So I grabbed my keys and drove with no direction, just letting the road pull me forward. My hands were tight on the wheel, my heart beating like it wanted to break free. I ended up outside the cemetery listed in the obituary. I didn't even plan it. My car just stopped there. The gate creaked when I pushed it open. The air felt colder inside, like even the wind was quiet. I walked between rows of stones until I found it. Ryan Matthews, 1982 to 2018. Beloved husband of Elena. His grave was simple, clean. Someone had placed new flowers there recently. Fresh ones. White lilies. Had she been visiting him? Had she been saying his name at his grave? Then coming home to say it to me by mistake? I knelt down, my knees hitting the grass. Tears stung my eyes, and I tried to blink them away, but I couldn't. I felt stupid kneeling at the grave of a man I never met, but who somehow had shaped my entire life without knowing it. What am I to you? I whispered. What was I ever? A cold wind blew over the grass, rustling the flowers. I stared at the stone, feeling smaller than I ever had. I wasn't jealous of him. I was jealous of the love she still carried for him. A love so strong that she built me into his shape, into his memory, into his name. I stood up slowly. My legs felt weak. I knew something for sure now. If I stayed with her, I would never be more than a shadow. Never be more than a name she borrowed. Never be more than a replacement for a ghost she never let go of. And I was done living in someone else's shadow. I drove home from the cemetery with a heaviness pressing on my chest. My hands were tight on the steering wheel, and the world outside the windows looked blurry, like everything was fading out. I kept hearing her whisper in my head. Not my name. Not really. She was whispering his. And I had been too blind to notice. When I got home, the house felt different. Too quiet. Too dark. Elena was in the nursery rocking our son, humming softly. A song I'd never heard before. A sad one. A slow one. The kind someone might sing for someone they lost. She looked up at me. You okay? I nodded, even though my throat was tight. Just tired. She smiled gently, but her eyes didn't match the smile. They looked distant, like she was drifting between this world and another. I sat on the edge of the crib. Did you ever love someone who's gone? I asked softly. My voice shook, but I pretended it didn't. She froze. Her hand stopped rocking. Her eyes flicked to my face. Then away. We all have, she whispered. Everyone loses someone. I waited, hoping she would say more, hoping she would tell the truth. But she didn't. She just kept rocking slowly, staring down at the baby, her jaw tight, her throat moving like she was holding something back. Did you ever tell me everything about your past? I asked. She blinked fast. Why are you asking me this? I just want to know you fully. That's all. Her lips pressed together. Michael, I'm tired. Can we not do this tonight? I nodded, but I saw the glimmer in her eyes. Not tears, not sadness, fear. She knew I was getting close. Too close, and she was afraid of what I might uncover next. I hardly slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the grave again. The name, the dates, the flowers. I heard her voice whispering, I miss you, to someone who wasn't me. My mind kept spinning, piling questions on top of questions. The next morning, Elena acted like nothing was wrong. She made breakfast, hummed the same soft song, kissed me on the cheek like usual. But I noticed the way she kept watching me out of the corner of her eye. She felt the shift. She knew something in me had cracked. I went upstairs to look for answers, real ones. In our closet, I found a small wooden box tucked behind her winter boots. I didn't want to dig through her things, but the truth had already pushed past my pride. Inside the box were bundles of letters tied with ribbon, old photos, and a small silver necklace with the letter R engraved on it. My breath caught. I lifted one of the envelopes. The handwriting wasn't mine. It wasn't recent. I opened the letter. Elena, I never knew I could love someone this much. You made my life bright. Ryan. My chest tightened painfully. Another letter said, if anything ever happens to me, promise me you'll keep living, even if it's with someone else. I sank onto the bed as the truth hit hard. He had loved her deeply, and she had loved him so much that she built a world where he never left, because losing him again would break her. Her love for me wasn't real. It was borrowed, shared, split between a memory and a man who didn't know he was filling someone else's place. I closed the box, my hand shaking. The anger building inside me was no longer just sadness. It was something sharper. If she couldn't let go of the past, then I needed to step out of it before she erased me completely. That night, I watched her carefully. The way she smiled at me, the way she touched my arm, the way she said, how was your day? Like everything was normal. But now I saw the truth behind every look. She wasn't seeing me. She was seeing him. I waited until we were getting ready for bed. She was brushing her hair in the mirror when I asked quietly, Elena, have you ever loved someone who isn't here anymore? Her hand paused. The brush hovered just above her shoulder. Slowly, she set it down. Why do you keep asking me this? I just want honesty, I whispered. Real honesty. She stared into the mirror, her eyes meeting mine through reflection. Her voice came out soft, fragile. Everyone has ghosts, Michael. That's not what I asked. Silence stretched between us. She looked away, taking a shaky breath. "Please," she whispered, "let's not do this." Her shoulders trembled slightly, not from guilt, but from fear that the truth might escape her lips. She wasn't ready to face it. She wasn't ready to say his name. She wasn't ready to admit that every time she whispered Michael, she meant someone else entirely. I moved closer to her. "I'm here, Elena. I'm alive. I'm the one who holds you, the one who loves you. Doesn't that matter?" Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't cry. "It matters," she whispered, "but it doesn't erase what came before." That hurt more than anything else she could have said. She didn't deny it. She didn't correct it. She didn't say she loved me more. She just held on to the past like it was the only thing keeping her alive. I walked out of the room, feeling the final piece fall into place. It wasn't that she didn't love me at all. It was that she could never love me fully, not while the ghost of Ryan still lived inside her heart. The next day, I drove back to the cemetery. I needed answers I couldn't get from her. Real ones. Cold ones. Ones that were carved into stone and couldn't change. The sky was gray, the wind cold enough to make my eyes water. I walked slowly down the rows until I reached the same grave. Ryan Matthews. The man who lived before me. The man she still whispered to. The man whose name I carried without even knowing it. I knelt down again. But this time, I didn't feel confused. I felt furious. "What did you leave behind for me to clean up?" I whispered. "Why didn't she let you rest?" The wind rustled the grass. I looked at the flowers again. Fresh ones. Not old. Not weathered. She had been here recently. Maybe just days ago. Maybe the day before she whispered into the nursery. Maybe the day before she lied to me. I sat back on my heels. Something in me felt like it had snapped, like the last bit of innocence had fallen away. She married me because of my name. She stayed with me because she needed a place to put her grief. She whispered love to me that belonged to a man buried in the ground. I wasn't angry at Ryan. He had no blame in this. He didn't choose to leave. He didn't choose to become a ghost she refused to let go of. But she did. She chose all of this. She chose the lies. She chose the shadows. She chose to build a marriage with a man she only half saw. I stood up slowly. I knew what I needed to do now. Not out of spite. Not out of rage. But out of survival. Because loving her was killing me. And I wasn't going to be a ghost in my own home anymore. When I got home that night, something in me had changed. I wasn't searching for answers anymore. I wasn't trying to understand her grief or her heart. I was done being gentle. Done being patient. Done pretending I didn't know the truth. It was time to take my life back. It was time to begin my own justice. Elena was in the kitchen, making dinner. She smiled when she saw me, but the smile faded when she noticed the look on my face. "Michael, what's wrong?" I didn't sit down. I didn't take off my coat. I placed a hidden flip phone on the kitchen counter. Her face drained instantly. She stared at it like it was a bomb. Where did you get that?" she whispered. "You left it in your coat," I said calmly. "Or maybe you thought I'd never look there." She shook her head, stepping back slightly. "Michael, please." "You lied to me," I continued. "For years." Her lips trembled. "I can explain." "You can't," I said, "because I know everything." Her breathing quickened. I picked up the phone and tapped the screen. The picture of her with Ryan appeared, the cropped one she thought I'd never see. She covered her mouth with her hand, shaking. "You never told me about him," I said. "You never told me you were married. You never told me you whispered his name at night." Tears streamed down her face. "I tried to move on," she whispered. "I tried so hard." "You didn't move on," I said coldly. "You brought him into our marriage, into our home, into me." She sobbed, but I didn't touch her this time. I finally saw her clearly, not as my wife, but as a woman who never healed, never let go, never gave me the truth I deserved. "This ends now," I said. Her eyes widened. What do you mean?" I took a deep breath. For the first time, I said, "I'm choosing myself." And so began the first step of my revenge. Not anger, not shouting, but truth. The kind that breaks everything wide open. Elena stood frozen in the middle of the kitchen, tears running down her cheeks in slow streams. She looked small, scared, like someone whose whole world had just been ripped open. But I didn't feel sympathy anymore. I felt clear, cold, focused in a way I hadn't felt in weeks. "Michael, please," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't mean to?" I said quietly. "You married me to replace a dead man." She let out a broken sob. No, I loved you too. I did. I thought if I tried hard enough, maybe I could forget him. I finished. Or make me into him? She flinched like I had struck her. I stepped back and pulled out the small wooden box I had found earlier. Her letters, her photos, her necklace, her whole hidden life. I placed it gently on the table. "Do you know what hurts the most?" I said. "You never even gave me a chance to be myself. You just used my name to keep pretending he wasn't gone." She covered her face with her hands. "I didn't know how to live without him. I didn't know how to let go. And so you built a marriage on lies," I said. "You took his love and spread it over my life like paint, hoping I wouldn't notice the cracks." She looked up at me, eyes red. "I didn't want to lose you too." "You already did," I said. The silence that followed was thick, heavy, almost painful. Then I spoke again, slow and steady. "I'm moving out." Her breath caught. "No. Michael, please. Please don't do this. Let me fix it. Let me explain. Let me try." "You've been trying for years," I said, "trying to keep him alive through me." I turned toward the door. "Now it's my turn to live," I said softly. And I walked away, leaving her with the box of memories she chose over our life. The next morning, I woke before the sun. The house felt heavy with sadness, like all the air had turned thick. I packed my clothes in silence, folding each shirt slowly, letting the truth settle deeper into my bones. My hands moved calmly, but inside, everything felt raw. As I reached the bottom drawer, something slipped out, a small envelope labeled, "Do not open." My heart thudded as I picked it up. Elena's handwriting. Shaky. Older. Not from our marriage. From before. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside were more photos. Elena and Ryan on their wedding day. Her dress simple, her eyes bright. She looked so alive, so in love. I tried not to let the jealousy sting, but it did. Sharp and deep. There were letters too. Long ones. Full of dreams about children, a house, a quiet life together. All the things she later planned with me. But now they felt borrowed, copied, reused. Underneath the letters was a small voice recorder. I clicked play. Her voice filled the room, soft, warm, and full of devotion I had never heard directed at me. "If I ever lose you, Ryan, I'll find another way to keep you close. I can't live without you. I won't." My breath caught. The tone, the words. They were promises made to a ghost, not to me. I stopped the recording. It didn't matter what excuses she made. The truth was plain. Elena never let him go. I packed the rest of my things and zipped the suitcase, the sound loud in the quiet room. As I set the recorder back in the envelope, a calmness washed over me, a strange kind of strength. This wasn't just heartbreak anymore. It was clarity. She needed to face the truth she'd buried, and I needed to stop being the man standing in another man's shadow. For once, the story wasn't about her grief. It was about my freedom. I left the bedroom and found Elena sitting on the couch, knees pulled to her chest. She looked up at me with swollen eyes, clutching a blanket, like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. "Where are you going?" she whispered. I set my suitcase near the door. "Somewhere else. I need space." Her voice cracked. "Michael, please, we can get help. Therapy. We can fix this." "We can't fix something built on a lie," I said softly. She wiped her eyes. "I didn't marry you just because of your name." "Maybe not just because," I said, "but enough." She shook her head. "No, you don't understand. I never meant to." I pulled the recorder from my pocket and placed it gently on the coffee table. Her eyes widened. No denial this time. No explanations. Just pure fear. "Michael, where did you get that?" "You left your whole heart in a box," I said. You left me pieces and gave him everything else. She looked like she might collapse. I was broken, she whispered. I thought if I found someone with his name, maybe I could feel safe again. Her honesty stung worse than any lie. So I'm what? I said. A replacement? A shadow? No, she cried, reaching for me. I loved you. I love you. You just never let go of him. Her hand dropped. Silence. Deep. Heavy. Finally, she whispered, I didn't know I was still talking to him through you. I didn't know I was using your name to stay connected. I took a slow breath. Elena, you need to grieve him. Truly grieve him. You need help that I can't give. Please, she said again, don't leave me twice. Her words hit me hard, but they didn't change the truth. I'm not the ghost you want, I said quietly. I'm the man who finally saw the fog, and I can't live inside it anymore. And I walked out, for the first time in weeks. The air outside felt clear, cold but real. I drove to a small apartment I'd rented earlier that day, just a temporary place with plain walls and a simple bed. But it was mine. It didn't echo with someone else's memories. That night, I lay awake thinking about everything. The whispers, the photos, the letters, the truth. And I realized something important. I didn't want to stay broken. I didn't want to live my life angry or confused. So the next morning, I met with a marriage counselor. Not for both of us, just for me. The therapist was calm, older, with soft eyes that didn't judge. What brings you here? She asked. I took a deep breath. My wife doesn't love me. She loves a name. She nodded. Tell me more. So I did. I told her everything. The hidden phone, the calls, the whispered love, the grave, the box of letters. My own name becoming a rope tied to someone else's ghost. When I finished, the room felt quiet. Michael, she said gently, what she did was wrong. But it wasn't about you. It was about grief she never processed. I swallowed hard. So, what does that make me? A man who tried his best, she said. But sometimes love gets twisted when people refuse to heal. I rubbed my hands together. So what do I do now? You move forward. You let her face the truth she's been avoiding. And you stop carrying a weight that was never yours. Her words hit deep. For the first time, I felt something open inside me. Space, air, possibility. The beginning of a life not trapped beneath someone else's past. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. But it was the start of taking myself back. And that was powerful. When I returned to the house to gather the rest of my things, Elena waited at the door. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept at all. Her eyes were red, her voice small. Michael, please don't do this. I have to, I said gently. She followed me as I packed, room to room, silent, watching, breaking a little more each moment. You're punishing me, she whispered finally. No, I said, I'm saving myself. She sank onto the edge of the bed. You're leaving because I loved him. But I tried. I really tried to love you too. I paused. But you didn't love me, Elena. Not fully. Her lower lip trembled. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean to, I said, but you still did. I reached for a final box on the closet shelf. When I pulled it down, a thick envelope slid out and fell onto the floor. It was addressed to Elena Matthews. Not Elena Cole. My blood went cold. Inside was a life insurance policy. And the beneficiary. Still listed as Ryan Matthews. Her dead husband. Not me. Not her child. But the man in the grave. I stared at her, the paper shaking in my hand. Why? She burst into tears. Because I couldn't erase him. Then you shouldn't have written me in, I said softly. She covered her face, crying deep, raw sobs. I placed the envelope on the dresser. I hope you find help you need. I whispered. She reached for my hand. But I stepped back. For the first time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't broken. I was done. I walked toward the door. Behind me, her cry echoed through the house, sharp, painful, real. But I didn't turn around. I had already been left behind once. I wouldn't let it happen again. As I packed the last of my things into my car, I felt strangely calm, the kind of calm that settles in after a storm has taken everything it can. Elena stood in the doorway, holding the edge of the wall, like she needed it to stay upright. Her eyes were swollen, but she didn't cry now. She just watched. "Michael," she whispered, "please don't leave like this." I turned to face her. "There's no other way to leave." She stepped forward. "We can fix it. We can go to therapy. We can rebuild." "You can't rebuild something when the foundation itself is a lie," I said. "You never gave me the truth, not once." She shook her head, desperate. "You don't understand. Losing him." "I do understand," I said, cutting her off gently. "More than you think. But loving someone who's gone doesn't give you the right to use a living." She covered her mouth, a small choking sound slipping out. I looked away, trying not to let it pull at me. As I lifted the last box, something on the entry table caught my eye. A thin legal envelope, my name written on it. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a letter from a lawyer, a document about our marriage license. The line that made my stomach twist read, "Name used for spouse verification. Michael Matthews." My jaw tightened. She never changed her last name because she wanted to, like she always said. She kept it because she wanted to stay connected to him, to the man before me. I stared at Elena. "You didn't just keep his memory. You kept his name. You kept his life. And you gave me scraps." Tears slipped down her cheeks again. I placed the envelope back on the table. "You need to grieve the dead one," I said quietly, "before you can ever love the living one." Then I walked out the door, and this time, she didn't try to follow. I moved into my small apartment that same day. The walls were bare, the sunlight weak, the air cold, but it felt honest. There were no ghosts here, no whispered lies, no hidden boxes full of someone else's love, just me and the truth. That evening, Elena called. Her voice was shaking. "Michael, please come home. Let's talk." "There's nothing left to talk about," I said. "Yes, there is. You think I married you just to replace him, but you don't know what it was like after he died. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to live. And you think attaching yourself to someone with his name was the answer?" I asked. She was silent for a long time. Then she whispered. It made the pain stop for a little while. I closed my eyes. "You didn't marry me. You married comfort." "No," she said. "I loved you. Maybe not the way you needed, but I did." "That's the problem," I whispered. "You kept him alive through me, and now I'm buried under his shadow." Her breath hitched. "I don't want to lose you. You already did." She cried softly. I let her. I didn't speak. Letting the silence settle felt like closing a wound. Then she said something that nearly broke me. "I never meant to hurt you. I was just afraid to erase him." "That's because you never healed," I said. "And I can't heal for you." Her voice cracked. "What do you want me to do?" I looked around the empty apartment. The clean floor. The blank walls. The freedom. "Let me go," I said softly. Her sob was small, sharp, and real, but she didn't argue this time. She understood, and understanding was the beginning of her losing control of the story she had built. She needed to face herself now. Not me, not his memory. Herself. The days that followed were surprisingly peaceful. I went to work. I came home to silence. I cooked simple meals. I even slept through the night for the first time in weeks. The weight on my chest slowly began to lift. But I wasn't done. I knew I needed to close the chapter properly. Not with shouting or anger, but with truth. Real truth. The kind she could not hide from anymore. So I wrote her a letter. Not long. Not cruel. Just honest. I sat at my small kitchen table and let the words flow slowly, one after another. "Elena, I loved you with everything I had. But I can't compete with a ghost. And I shouldn't have to. I can't be someone else's shadow. I can't carry the pain you never healed. You owe it to yourself to face the truth, not hide from it through me. I'm not the ghost you wanted. I'm the man who finally saw through the fog. Michael, I folded the letter carefully and drove back to the house. I didn't go inside. I didn't ring the bell. I simply slipped the letter under the door and walked away. It felt final. It felt right. Later that night, my phone buzzed with a single message. 3 words. I understand now. No anger. No excuses. No begging. Just acceptance. And for the first time, I believed her. She was finally starting to see the truth she had run from for so many years. The truth she buried under old photos, old love, and old promises. I put my phone down and stared out the window at the quiet street. This wasn't revenge in the dramatic sense. This was justice, boundaries, clarity, and I realized something important. Sometimes the best revenge isn't hurting someone back. It's walking away so they finally see the damage they caused. Weeks passed, slowly, quietly. My life built itself piece by piece, like a wall rising one brick at a time. I found new routines, new habits, new thoughts that weren't tangled up with Elena or her past. Then one afternoon, I got a message from an unknown number. It was Elena's sister, Michael. She checked herself into grief therapy. I sat down slowly, absorbing the words. She told the group she married a mirror. The message continued. She finally understands what she did to you. A strange feeling washed over me. Not joy, not sadness. Something softer. Relief, maybe? Closure. Knowing she wasn't hiding behind lies anymore. Knowing she was facing the truth. I typed back a simple reply. I hope she heals. And I meant it. Part of my heart still hurt when I thought of her, but another part felt free. The part that always wondered if I wasn't enough. The part that questioned my worth. The part she unknowingly crushed under the weight of her past. A week later, I opened one of the boxes I hadn't unpacked. Inside was a picture of me and Elena from our first year together. We were smiling, arms wrapped around each other. For a moment, I felt that old ache, the one that comes from remembering what you thought you had. But then I looked closer. I saw something I missed before. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking through me, seeing someone else, seeing him. I gently set the photo aside. It didn't hurt as much anymore, because now I finally understood. Her heart had been full, but full of someone who wasn't me, and I deserve a love that was whole. I deserved to be seen, truly seen, not as a memory, not as a replacement, not as a shadow, but as Michael. One night, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. For the first time in a long time, I really looked at myself. Not as the husband who wasn't enough. Not as the man with the wrong past. Not as the echo of someone she lost. Just me, Michael. My name felt different now. Bigger. Lighter. Mine again. Not carried on someone else's memories. Not whispered in someone else's grief. I said it softly under my breath. Michael. The sound didn't hurt anymore. It didn't remind me of her bedroom whispers or the phone calls or the dead man's grave. It didn't remind me of the pain or the lies or the empty places in our marriage. It just felt like me. I turned off the light and went into the kitchen to make tea. The apartment was quiet, but it wasn't lonely. It felt peaceful, safe, honest. My phone buzzed suddenly. A number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. Elena? I guessed. Her voice came through soft and steady. Different. Clearer. Michael? I'm sorry. I leaned against the counter. For what part? For talking to shadows. For hiding the past. For using your name like a bridge I wasn't ready to cross. I didn't speak. She continued, voice trembling but controlled. I know now who I was talking to that night. And it wasn't him. It was a grief I never faced. And now, I asked quietly, I'm facing it, she whispered, and I hope someday you'll forgive me. I closed my eyes. The anger was gone, the jealousy, the hurt, only the truth remained. I hope you heal, I said, a soft breath. Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Elena. I hung up, then I whispered my name again, and this time it felt like a beginning. After that call, the nights felt lighter. I didn't check my phone waiting for her messages. I didn't replay old moments in my head wondering where I went wrong. I stopped trying to fit myself into a life that wasn't meant for me. Slowly, the world opened up again. I got a new job offer in a city 3 hours away. A bigger position, better pay, a clean start. When the email came through, I stared at it for a long time. The old me, the one who stayed for her, for the marriage, for the hope, would have hesitated. But the new me didn't. I accepted the job the same day. Packing felt different this time. No pain, no sadness, just a sense of moving forward. I boxed my things with calm hands and steady breath. When I finished, I stood in the middle of the empty apartment and smiled. I was free. Driving into the new city felt like driving into sunlight after months of fog. The streets were busy, alive, full of people rushing to places that had nothing to do with my past. Nothing to do with Elena. Nothing to do with Ryan. Just life moving forward. I found a quiet apartment with big windows and soft morning light. The first night I slept there, I lay on the bed listening to the distant traffic. No baby monitor. No whispers. No shadows. Just quiet. Real quiet. The kind I didn't fear anymore. The next morning, I started my new job. My co-workers welcomed me like I had always belonged. It felt strange at first, being seen without any weight on my shoulders. Being liked for who I was, not for the name I carried. At lunch, one colleague laughed at something I said, and I realized I hadn't heard myself laugh like that in months. Maybe years. Healing wasn't loud or dramatic. It was simple, slow, steady, and I was finally walking that path, one quiet step at a time. In the weeks that followed, life settled into a new rhythm. My job kept me busy in a good way. Each day brought new challenges, new faces, new things to learn. I found a small coffee shop on the corner near my building where the barista already knew my order by the third visit. I made a few friends, real ones, not tied to old memories or broken promises. For the first time in a long time, I felt like a whole person again. One night, after a long day at work, I sat on my balcony with a warm mug and looked out at the city lights. The air was cool and quiet, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. I didn't think about Elena every day anymore. When I did, it wasn't with anger, or pain, or longing. It was with a kind of soft acceptance. Our story was full of shadows, but it taught me something important. I deserved a love not shared with a ghost. One afternoon at work, I bumped into a colleague named Hannah. We had spoken a few times before, but this time she smiled and asked if I wanted to grab lunch. I almost said no out of habit, out of fear of stepping into something too soon. But then I remembered something the therapist told me. You're allowed to move forward, Michael. You're allowed to meet people who see you. So I said yes. And lunch felt easy, light. We talked about simple things, music, food, childhood stories. There was no heavy weight in her voice, no hidden pain behind her eyes, just kindness. When the lunch break ended, she said, "You're easy to talk to." And for once, I believed it. That night, I sat in my apartment and felt something warm in my chest. Not love, not yet, something gentler. Hope. Maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe I was just beginning. One day at work, I overheard two co-workers talking near the break room. "Did you hear about that support group downtown? The one helping people deal with old grief?" My ears sharpened instantly. Later that afternoon, I asked Hannah about it. She nodded. "Oh, that one? My friend volunteers there. It's mostly for people who lost partners." A strange feeling swelled in my chest. Not pain, just curiosity. "Do you know anyone in it?" She thought for a moment. "Yeah, actually, a woman named Elena joined recently. She talks a lot about learning to let go." I went still. Hannah didn't notice the look on my face. She kept talking. "My friend said she's helping others now too, like giving advice, sharing her story, trying to help people stop holding on to the past. Sound like she's doing better." I swallowed slowly. So Elena was healing, not by clinging to ghosts, but by helping others release theirs. The knowledge settled in me like a soft weight, not painful, not heavy, just real. That night, I sat quietly on my couch, thinking. For so long, I had imagined revenge as something sharp, something dramatic, something loud. But this quiet shift felt more powerful than anything else. She was letting go, and so was I. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I didn't try to check in. Her healing wasn't mine to manage. Mine wasn't hers to drag back. Our story wasn't about reconciliation. It was about release, about learning that sometimes justice isn't punishing someone. It's letting them face themselves, face their truth, face their grief. And I finally felt ready to face mine too. For the first time, the past didn't feel like a chain. It felt like something I had finally set down. A few weeks later, I drove back to my old town. Not for Elena, not for memories, but for myself. I felt like there was one last thread hanging loose, and I needed to tie it before moving fully into my new life. I parked outside the cemetery around sunset. The sky glowed golden orange. The air was cool and still. I walked slowly between the rows of stones until I found his again, Ryan Matthews, 1982 to 2018. Beloved husband of Elena. I stood there quietly. There was no anger in me now, no jealousy, no confusion, just a gentle acceptance of what had happened. You didn't do this, I said softly, and I don't blame you. The wind rustled the leaves. I just needed to understand why everything felt wrong. I continued, and now I do. I crouched down and placed a single white flower on the stone, a gift not from love, but from closure. She loved you, I whispered. Too much to let you go, and not enough to let me in. Saying the words lifted a weight I didn't even know was still attached to me. I hope she learns to live without carrying your ghost, I said. And I hope I learn to live without carrying your shadow. The breeze picked up, brushing past me gently, almost like an answer. I stood up slowly. My chest felt light, my steps steady. As I walked back to the car, I didn't look back. There was nothing left for me here. No ties, no pain, no echoes. Just closure, just peace. When I reached the car door, I whispered one last time, "Goodbye." And this time, it wasn't for him. It was for the version of me that lived in someone else's story. As I drove away from the cemetery, the last pieces of my old life faded behind me. The wind through the open window felt fresh, like a new beginning brushing past my face. The world outside seemed brighter, clearer, as if everything had finally come into focus. For the first time in months, my heart felt light. When I reached my new city and parked outside my apartment, I sat in the car for a moment, letting the quiet settle around me. No ghosts, no whispers, no hidden phones or old letters waiting to break me again. Just me. A few days later, I went out with Hannah and some co-workers for dinner. I didn't feel nervous or heavy. I didn't compare anyone to Elena. I didn't feel like I was living in someone else's shadow. I laughed. I talked. I felt alive. When the night ended, Hannah walked with me to my car. She smiled, soft and warm. "You seem lighter," she said. I admitted. She tucked her hair behind her ear. "Maybe someday we could get coffee. Just us." I felt my heart open, not wide, not too fast. Just enough. "I'd like that," I said. Later that night, in the quiet of my apartment, I looked at myself in the mirror one last time. The man staring back wasn't broken or angry. He wasn't running. He wasn't stuck in a story that didn't belong to him. He was free. I whispered my name under my breath. Michael. And for the first time, it didn't echo someone else's life. It was mine. As I turned off the light, I felt a soft smile forming. This time, I whispered into the dark, "She'll say my name and mean it." And with that, I stepped fully into the life that finally belonged to me. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments.